Welcome to Coach's Corner, everyone. I'm Lyndon.
I'm
Amy.
I'm Debbie.
This is Coach's Corner. We help people change their relationship with food and fitness based on all the knowledge that we've gained over our experiences just as individuals. We bring them to all of you. So if you like the video, like it, share. Don't forget to hit the notification button and subscribe. That way you get every episode as it comes out. Today we're going to be covering functional fitness as a whole and kind of who we are, like what GEID is all about. We have the mural in the background. We've been doing this, I don't know, probably for half a year easy. We've been doing this Coach's Corner stuff, but we felt like it was kind of time for a little bit of change, giving some more direction, really making sure that this meets the needs of the people who are watching. Okay, so we're going to cover, first of all, why functional training, because I think that a lot of people think it's just something that you hear the word, you don't understand it, and then you're just kind of confused about it. Now, people come in our doors, I don't think they really care, but just in case they do, this will be an episode where you get to do that. So I like to combine what is known as traditional functional training with athleticism, and that helped us to come up with our current model of training here. Let's try to make it really, really simple. What is functional training in general? What do you guys think?
I think of it as training for life, like
Sure.
movement that allows you to live your life and not hurt yourself, picking up your kids or picking up groceries,
Sure.
walking around.
I think it's good. Yeah. I like that's it. I would agree. I would think it's just something that helps you live a happier and healthier life. That is what functional training is to me as well. Would everyone agree?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. We're going to keep today really simple just because, again, we want to make sure you guys get what you need and go over the things. Let's give them some examples of what functional training looks like. So I would normally pick an exercise and then how that carries over so people start to understand why to do it. I can't start this, obviously, I understand it. Well, but for people who aren't watching, I'm the owner, so I know a lot of this stuff, like, that's why I started it. I wanted to give my coaches a chance to weigh in and really give you guys their perspectives before I share mine. So, exercise and how it applies. Go for it.
I got one.
Shoot.
Let's go. I'll go specific. A suitcase deadlift,
Hey.
picking up bags, picking
There we
up
go.
groceries, picking up a lot of things.
Milk.
Fair. Anything heavy walking upstairs?
Yep.
Yes. Loads to the side? Agreed. Absolutely. Anything else?
Okay, I didn't know if you were done.
That's it.
She hit it. Right?
I actually,
Boom, right in the line.
yeah, I think of squats and being able to move with children, just because you have to, like if I'm walking around with LJ, for example, and I got him over here, I've noticed myself, like I have to get down on the ground and
Pick him up.
well, I might be down there, but then when I get back up, I'm finding myself in a squat position. I have to be able to use my legs to do that without hurting myself. Or maybe I have them and I need to squat back down to pick something up, and I'm not worrying about if I can do that and not drop him. So I think that, to me, like if you have a small child that you don't want to drop and you have a bunch of stuff on the floor, I've actually been kind of like surprised that I'm able to do some of that. And it mostly ends up being some form of squat.
I think we can agree that a lot of people in here feel the same way. They'll go to do something they maybe haven't done in years or something they never were able to do, and they're like, wow, look how strong I am. We're going to get into examples of that in a little bit. What you got?
I'd say anyone working retail or food service. I've done a lot of that, and I find myself doing a lot of push, vertical push. So anytime you gotta it's all of that. It's squat to pick up.
Yeah, but you got to give an example.
Right. So I'm saying it's all of that, but
Fair.
I'm specifically speaking to lifting
Overhead.
like a box overhead and putting
Okay.
it up on a rack, or grabbing something down from a top shelf.
It's definitely an underestimated thing, but like we have some older clients in here, and I would say most of them will say exactly that. They'll be like, yeah, I don't really grab things off the shelf, which is going overhead with stuff, or able to place things overhead. So, it's kind of wild to think that based on limitations that you can't use your shelves in your home. So functional training does play a role in that as well. Ironically, I think of the kettlebell swing. The reason being, it's probably part of the reason why I went into functional training in the first place. It has a lot to do with stability. So I realized, Carol was kind of talking about it today. A lot of clients talk about it, but a lot of people don't do enough dynamic movement. And ironically, the older I get, the less I see it in younger generations. A great example is someone like Jada, right, who can't do something as simple as skip, right? It's really hard for her. And it's not that she's incapable of skipping, it's just never having that season of play, instability to learn how to skip. So I see that show up in movements like the kettlebell swing. It just really helps people to work using their feet to stay stable. So if you have older people in your life and you're worried about them falling over, because one of the leading causes of death is breaking one of the hips for a lot of older people, then the kettlebell swing helps them to learn stability via the hips and the feet. And then you've got, you can tie it to jumping, you can tie it to standing on one leg. Again, creating stability in the hips helps people to live happier and healthier lives because they just don't have it. Most people just don't have it overall. So kettlebell swing is what I would choose. And again, all of the exercises chosen, I agree. I think that most people don't know. They don't know what they need until they don't have it anymore. And ironically, if you know better, you do better, number one. And two, if you wait too long, it's actually way harder to get it than it is to keep it. So I'd rather give it to people before it becomes a problem than have to go backwards and be like, all right, well, now that you have broken said hip, who I think of? Martin. When Martin was in here, Martin had hip surgery on one hip, and because he spent years trying to do yoga, trying to do all these simple, I think of functional training and how like I see functional movements in other spaces and how they overemphasize those patterns. It makes me think about how those people never get the true stability needed in those hips to move and do what they want to do. So a lot of that, the reason why I didn't go into, let's call it what we see on Instagram, right? I always refer to where people watch their stuff and get these crazy movement from with all this different equipment and all these things. And I could go down a rabbit hole on why I think that's not a good idea. But for the most part, again, if people don't understand why they're doing a thing, then they're just doing a bunch of stuff they hope works. So I think we do a really good job here of explaining what it's for, why we're doing it, and how to do it, which you don't see in a lot of spaces. You see a lot of how, right? I'm gonna come up with this move, I'm gonna show you how it's done, and then do it like I did it. That's pretty average. But what I don't see a lot of is real purpose behind the movement. So the fact that everyone here could explain it, and this is why I said I'll go last, is proof to how much, number one, we care, number two, how much we've actually connected what we do with who we are. Okay, so I think that's important for people to be able to see and know. All right, examples. I think we can all come up with a client who has impressed us from the time we've been here, that we've seen grow or maybe even completely change. So give me an example. Somebody you see, somebody who you have seen grow, and what their problem was. You can go either direction with it. I don't care which one's in front of which.
Okay, well, so who came up in my mind was Ma, actually, Ivy's Ma.
Boom, okay.
Which I don't necessarily know what she came in dealing with. I wasn't really around as much when she got here, but just, talking about the vertical push, just seeing her do stuff overhead and the ease that I see in her as, a woman who's older.
Yeah,
she
fair.
really is, you like you said, there's you get to a certain point, you can't move your arms. You can't even access the range, let alone use it with weight. So even her just doing pushes with dumbbells, watching her do that, watching her do a Turkish get-up,
right?
Getting up and down off the floor. I think those are things that you don't see a lot of older people in your life.
You don't know. Mom used to come in here and she couldn't do this was hard.
Yeah.
Literally here was extremely difficult. She now probably has range much closer to here, which allows her to live a much happier, healthier life. Mom is a mom who raised tons of kids. So that means she did a lot of cooking, a lot of time in the kitchen, a lot of putting things up, a lot of creating space for other people. So, you know, that's, again, I actually thought that Evans was very thoughtful. Again, there's not a lot of space where people are like, oh man, I got to do this. Like, we'll laugh at a YouTube, Instagram video that shows someone doing it all with this crazy form, but ironically, one of the first things to go is the ranges you don't use.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't think overhead. So seeing mom do those things, yes, Devin and me were in here when she started, and this was it. Like, I mean, full arm straight, like right,
Yeah.
maybe eyebrow level. That's it.
Yeah.
So it has been amazing to watch her. Anybody else?
Gosh, I actually could think of a lot of people for a lot of reasons. It's hard to pick one.
Just pick one?
I know. I gotta say, I'm not sure what the full scope of issues coming in was, but I feel like in the last week, LaWanda, I'm seeing her work in a way that like I haven't seen her move before, like doing like just running up and down, better with jumping. She held a plank for 40 seconds, which is
yeah.
hard to do, and I know that she's struggled with that, or like just some of the basic movements.
Struggle with 15 seconds.
Yeah, so she's not my person, I don't train her, but I watched her over
Clients,
time.
Yes, it's
And
about clients.
yeah, like I'm just saying I don't know the full journey, but she's looking strong and bouncy and like able to move quickly, and I've been pretty impressed with that.
I thought you were going to say something. You look like you wanted to
No, I
say
ain't saying
something.
no. Not yet.
Wanda.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's it.
LaWanda's dope. LaWanda coming in had a pretty active lifestyle, but I think her active lifestyle was kind of tearing her body apart, to be honest. And shout outs to Dev. I think one of the hardest things to do as a coach is take criticism. Like, anyone telling you something's not working, especially if you've seen it work, might be hard to do. But Devin has taken any critiques, criticism, feedback as something to grow from. I've watched LaWanda like very struggle in training to like really enjoying the process. I want to say this week was the first week she ever showed up 3 days in a row. And it wasn't just because she was going out of town, it was because she really wanted to be here. I can attest that to the coach. I can attest that to the lady she works out with, but truly I attest that to the program and the coach, right? Because it's not, clients can get unmotivated really, really easily, especially when things are difficult. I can think of a couple different people who struggle to just come in the door 3 times a week, which is what we suggest on a regular basis. And I'm not even just talking here, I'm talking about regular out there in the world, people that struggle to just get to the gym 3 times a week to take care of themselves. So having someone show up 3 times a week for the first time is a milestone we don't celebrate enough with our people. But ironically, it shows mountains, leaps and bounds, if you really pay attention to what a person is trying to acquire. So shout out to Dev for making it not only accessible, but helping LaWanda find her stride. I think that's important. Goodness.
I had 2 people come into mind. It was Ivy and Marjorie.
Okay.
And I think kind of for the same reasons. Though they came in with similar but very different problems. It was like
Margie knees and hips,
and then Ivy was legs.
My Ivy was knee. It was knee.
Yeah, and
hip,
like
it was hip. No, it was hip. It was hip.
it's
She
like
was
through
extensively hip. That's what it was. Yeah.
And just to see them move, like especially Ivy, like Ivy just tagged me this morning or last night.
She tagged me too.
Yeah, she tagged
Yeah,
me.
she tagged all of us. She was like up on
Did
the.
she get tagged?
She was up on
I
the.
don't know.
Yeah,
She was up on a stripper pole. No. She was just up on a regular pole. And
it was a whole conversation this
it
morning.
was a regular pole.
Yeah.
And but it was just it was cool to see, like, it was a still shot picture of her, like, feet up in the air, you know, just smiling, like having a good time. And we went to go see her at her concert She was
Yeah.
up on
I was
stage
so
going
sad.
crazy.
Jumping
She was
around.
jumping.
So sad.
I told her, I was like, yo, your guns look so, she's like singing, her
Yeah.
arms look so solid. I'm like, dang, girl.
see her in Hills when that was one of the things that was like a milestone back in the day.
Yeah, she hadn't
Like,
worn heels in over 20 years.
yeah, and she's been wearing heels now. Like,
Right.
So I think that's amazing to see people like be able to put on something that made them feel confident, comfortable before. Yeah, Marjorie, same thing. She just coming with the knee brace. I haven't seen the knee brace at all. We just trained last week and we did
And
drop.
that's another 10-year problem.
Yeah, drop reactive jumps and with no knee brace, just jumping off a box, jumping up. I think just seeing the progress would be
We had a possible client stop in, and that's when she decided to tell us. It's so interesting when you get feedback from people because you're just like, yeah, I noticed stuff because of the business I was in beforehand, and I'm probably gonna pick someone that nobody even thinks I'm gonna pick, just because of the small things that I noticed that are actually much larger things. But ironically, it has to do with if you pay attention, it is those small things. Margie was never comfortable with taking her shoes off; they came off. She wore a knee brace every time. Good. She wouldn't squat when she started. She refused to squat. Never had a good experience squatting at all. So seeing even that, I agreed. Yeah. Ivy and Margie are really, really good ones. And they're both clients over a specific age. I'm not saying nobody's age because I don't want to get hit later. I want to get beat up. So let's just say some of our older clients, when they come in with those limitations and to see them completely turn it around, it's amazing stuff for sure. Let's see. I wonder who y'all think I'm gonna pick.
I think
Who you gonna think I'm gonna pick?
No.
Justine.
That's what I
Nope.
thought too.
Nope. Nope.
Jada?
Nope.
Oh,
Justin.
Joanna.
Dang.
okay.
It's Joanna.
It's a J name.
It's a J. It is still a J. The reason I'm picking Joanna is because I think Joanna had a lot of different experiences trying to find their physical fitness stride, right? I think they've done a lot of different things to try to find who they like what they'd like to do. Different places, different programs, different stuff. And you could see that they really wanted to find somewhere they belong, right? And watching even Joanna today, first of all, Joanna wears these Catwoman suits all the time, right? Full body suits, doesn't matter what we're doing, she's got different colors. And everyone comes in with their own personality, which is cool. And apparently I now have a what's the word called? When people talk about you for doing a certain thing, notoriety.
Okay.
I have a
Reputation?
certain reputation too. Sure, I call it notoriety because I like it better. But I'm known for calling people's outfits out, right? So apparently that's something that I
Facts.
do. But the part that I noticed, one of the things I think is probably one of the coolest about watching people's journey, and Joanna's in particular, is when she sat down with me originally, I remember her talking about how shy she was and how she didn't want to be called out and how she didn't feel comfortable going to your average size gym just because most people in there, she just felt uncomfortable working out in those spaces. So to come here and to be as vocal as she is, and I coax it a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, to watch them be as vocal as they are is amazing. Then now you want to pair that with learning their actual end ranges and getting much stronger. Like, the body's changing very quickly because you can tell she's like really taking in the instruction and taking the journey very seriously. And to me, those are the clients where you're just like, man, I could step back and barely do my job and win. But those are the clients I pay attention to the most because even though they're motivated, sometimes that actually works against them. So I like to make sure that those people have guidance on their journey. So shout out to Joanna for not only losing her first 10 pounds in her first 30 days very easily with small, very habit changes, but also you can tell getting much stronger and the body responding, which means it was very ready. And according to their husband, this is the first time they've ever stuck to a program for 30 days without change. So yes, shout outs to Joanna on multiple fronts.
Okay, Ricky
As
with
a
the eye.
client. Yo,
I
for
like that.
real,
Partners
right?
with the eye.
Right?
You know?
And it's very cool to watch someone do something they've never done before. So, Joanna, you got my vote for today.
Her confidence is noted too. I
Yes.
remember like
Yeah.
the first time I asked her if she wanted to be my partner at 6 a.m. She was like, no. She like didn't like not make eye contact.
I'm good.
And then like the next week she was like, all right, Amy, you and I are
Let's
partners,
go.
right? And I
Let's
was like,
go.
all
That's
right,
right.
cool, I love it.
That's
You know, I
right.
think there's like just feeling more. You can see the confidence
I'll say
that she's.
the personality change I see, like, very vividly in everyone. Like when they come into
Yeah,
the
in
space.
general. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with we're reading the book together, and Em mentioned herself like how Mr. Neil, right? That's Neil,
Neil
whatever.
Strauss.
I couldn't remember his last name was Strauss. But Neil, Mr. the pickup artist. So I label people. That's how I remember people.
Fair.
And Neil mentioned how he got in the best shape of his life because he found a fitness community, and I think that's exactly what happens here for so many people. I think a lot of people really they find small success, and then they find, let's say, the first valley, right? They get those peaks, but when they hit those valleys, they usually get scared or fear, and then they back out. And I've seen tons of people do that. But ironically here, I've seen people stick in it way longer than they have in other spaces. And I think it is because of our community. We accept people. We don't shy away from topics. We respect people's boundaries. I think a lot of it is just really showing up authentically for people and watching how that does. I know a lot of places, man, you can't even talk or say certain things. And that's unfortunate because people are multifaceted. And again, we can all have respectful conversations if we just speak to one another with respect.
So I was thinking about like the functional training, athletes training aspect.
Yeah.
And when you say athletes, I think about my time in sports, and it's always been organized like team sports. And I think that is community, like in that realm.
I would say there's community there,
Yeah.
but not necessarily what most people are looking for from community. Ironically, I think most of those spaces drive people away from community.
Yeah, right. I think the organized sports that I had in like high school, college, I was kind of forced into, but I was also forced into some type of community. And
Fair.
people who don't have that, like as you get older and you're not in organized sports,
Okay, I get where you're going.
it's like you're trying to. I think people strive in this community because it has that aspect of like.
Okay.
Not just coming to the gym. I think gyms, I've heard a lot, don't work for people because there's not the guidance, there's not the community aspect.
Yeah, well, it's a very business-based model, and your average gym is like they treat it. Everything is business-oriented. You're there for this, and you're gone, right? Like that's what it is. And a lot of people don't find community in those spaces because it would take a little extra push to find it. Whether someone comes to you or you go to someone, you can find those. There's plenty of great gyms that have communities in them, but there's also a lot of degrees of separation because, like high school, you have cliques. And unfortunately, that causes a lot of people to feel like they would have felt in college or high school. So ironically, the average adult, who never felt like they fitted in those spaces isn't going to want to participate in that thing anyway.
Right.
So I think that's more so what it is. And organized sports feels forced.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like there's a lot of coercion. There's a lot of do the thing and
It can
everything.
be toxic community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people in those spaces, like they either thrive under that mantra or they barely survive under it. And if you barely survive under it, you're not going to want to re-find it as someone who's trying to change. Right?
Lifestyle change.
Yeah, I think here we do a great job of creating space for people to come in and be people. There have been things that have come from people's mouths that I would never accept outside these doors, right? And I'm not saying that to like scare anybody off. I'm saying that more like, again, what if you don't even know it's not okay? And has anyone told you it's not okay? Have you had any conversations about why it's not okay? And again, if you're always hanging with people who are always enforcing things that aren't okay, you really don't know it's not okay. So even the diversity of people in this space and the conversations that we have, I think has built a stronger community that respects different angles and different walks of life, which is a lot of things places lack. They lack diversity and real connection, right? So that's really what you're seeing. You're seeing, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I do feel like this is a large part of it, is having a leader who not only stands on the forefront but remains fluid, flexible. I'm not rigid in everything that I think in a way where I cut off other people's beliefs. You'll also see that when other people are encouraged to share their perspectives, versus in a lot of spaces that doesn't happen. So those two things builds a pretty nice community. Obviously, I foster that in all of you guys. You all understand that. But really, I think that is the difference in community. It's community that connects people via literally being human, nothing else. And I think that's where we went in community. Okay. It was like a long tangent.
That's like
yeah.
the base, like the foundation of what community is, right?
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I think a lot of places miss it because of, when I think sports, I think dogma, right? Which is what a lot of places push. They push their mantras, their rhetorics, right? I remember, I'm trying to think of who, I'm not gonna say the person's name, but like certain people will meet me and they're like, yeah, nah, he kills everybody. Everybody's gonna die, right? And I'm just like, all right. I mean, I don't work like that, but cool. And it is for myself. I do work hard. I do work hard and hustle harder. Like that is who I am as an individual. But I also have other sides and facets to me that I don't ignore, and I allow those to bleed into this community in ways that I hope help people see that you don't have to be one-dimensional. I think again, they can look at everybody here and see different dimensions and strengths. Strength doesn't have to look the way it looks for me, for Devin, for you, for Amy, for Em. Like it doesn't have to be the same. There will be aspects I hope we get to take from one another, but other than that, it moves into your strength being different than mine and how that can serve someone else. So I think that's a very important aspect, and that is, in my opinion, just being human, right? Accepting your humanity, letting my humanity not be better than your humanity, just literally being curious about your humanity. I think that's how it works. So yes, just being human and authentic to that. Right?
Curiosity.
Yeah, that's a big part of our culture. Being curious about other people, and again, I don't even have to accept your way of living. I just need to be curious about who you are and keep that curiosity in all of our things. Again, there are certain walks and talks. It doesn't even matter if I agree with. It's all about whether or not I'm willing to make space for you as a human being. And that's what allows us to come together. So which brings us back to our origin story for the space. All right. I've probably told this story a couple different times in a couple different ways, but I think, let me say, I'm going to try to just summarize it so we don't take up a ton of time. Let's just say I was a bodybuilder first, and then I did all different aspects of fitness. So I started in bodybuilding, powerlifting, calisthenics. I did all these different walks of fitness, but the one that stuck out the most to me was my calisthenics journey. Bodybuilding was good, but it wasn't the thing. It was the thing that made me fall in love with physical fitness because of the change I saw in my body. But what made me I really wanted to show up every single time because of the guys who were going to be there was my calisthenics journey. It was finding the Easy Works fitness crew. And it was just a bunch of people. Again, I say it all the time. You could come in on one day, you'd be working out with somebody who just got out of jail, right? The next day you come in, the mayor's aide was working out next to you. And some days we'd all be there on the same day. No one was better than anybody else. That was one of the aspects that I definitely was like, this is what it looks like, right? Now, there wasn't a lot of diversity as far as like different people from different walks. So you didn't see a lot of one group of people. You didn't see a lot of that, but you did see a lot of ranges in different locations and different journeys, which led me to believe that it could be done. So I like to take that and think, I said, okay, I think this is really cool. I think I could build something that would serve and help people. And man, there was a lot of trial and error in the beginning, boy, I ain't gonna lie. I started as a trainer working in a gym called Iron House, it was right above Lorraine's. And man, it was a positive experience overall. I learned a lot as a trainer, but there was a lot of limit of access because of where it was located and people feeling safe about the area I was training in. So a lot of people didn't even want to go there. Like, oh, where's that at? Ah, no, I'm not going there. Like that type of deal. And so I ended up like working out of home, doing a lot of personal training, stuff like that, just to accommodate people, and not raising my prices or anything like that. Just really starting out. Fast forward, I realized I didn't want to train a bunch of bodybuilders, and I ended up moving into like just trying to find a new niche, right? Like something I wanted to do that I knew would help people. So I started taking bodybuilding and mixing it with like CrossFit stuff. And this was the Fountain of Youth days when I trained at Fountain of Youth. And I had a partner that I had separated from at that time. So shout out to Danny Dennis, because he kept getting it done fitness going during that time frame where I was like, I need to do something different. I feel called to do something else. So again, I'm trying to summarize. There's a lot of history there. Let's just say realizing that I can help people via the knowledge I was gaining made me interested in more. So I decided I was like, man, CrossFit's got a lot of hurt people. So I started doing exercises that help make people feel better. And again, we got right around the time where I started to kind of figure it out, COVID hit. So again, everybody is well aware of that whole pandemic. Let's just say everybody bought up all the barbells and weights they could. So the only things really left were body weight and kettlebells. And I had no experience with kettlebells before that outside of a kettlebell swing. And I had a lot of different conversations. Fast forward to one of my brothers at Easy Work introducing me to the bells and introducing me to now someone who I call brother as well, but I looked at as a mentor when I first started, Atlas. Atlas taught me the game, broke me down with a 10-pound kettlebell, and made me realize that athleticism was the way to go, which introduced me to dynamic sports performance training, which we call DSP. So all of that started me being like, okay, maybe there's something to this functional fitness thing that looks more like the respectfully clown stuff that I see all the time, as respectful as I can be, because it's very clownish. And again, this is when I look in the functional training world, there's so much nuance, there's so much trying to be the next trending topic, the next thing people talk about. And sure, people are going to get better with it, just because of the simple fact that it's movement that they should be doing. But at the same time, I noticed there was something lacking. People stayed, like if you were already in great shape, you just stayed in great shape. If you were really bad off, you got a little better, but you didn't like really get a lot better. This led me to think about it as an incomplete system. It was something that people can only take so far. So when I saw people getting real crazy with kettlebells, I became really, really interested. This cough. So that led me to, again, what started all of this, which is Getting It Daily. We started a community over at Fountain of Youth right before COVID hit that I ended up having to kind of kill because of COVID. But because people were going crazy, we started just doing free workouts outside in community parks. So we started at Cobb's Hill, we started at Tremont, Troop Street, a couple different spots like that, and that's when like people would show up and it would be crazy. A lot of BIPOC people would show up for the yoga, and a lot of like when it came to the fitness thing, it was a lot more ladies, right? I was just like, this is so awkward to me because I wasn't used to that. I had worked with bodybuilders and stuff like that. It was a little different there. So ironically, coming into this niche was a little different, but I remember the amount of people who showed up and wanted to help in that space. And I was like, okay, I think we can do this. I remember literally just saying, man, this is real cool. Somebody going, yeah, man, you should start your own thing with it. And I'm like, yeah, man, we would need a space. It get real cold outside in the winter. And fast forward, a friend introduced me to another person who's now my landlord. And I am now in a space on Monroe Avenue called Getting It Daily. And we've been here for 3 years. So I will say that the community may have started as an idea, but it ended up being a full-fledged community that honestly, I think we're just building leaders for the next thing that's much bigger. So we're just paying attention to all of that and trying to move forward. So if I had to give it an origin story, it started in COVID, where we didn't know what we were doing. And it ended with here, where we do athleticism or performance training, which looks like functional training meeting athleticism. So again, for people who really want to know the difference, stop by. What else? I want to, last thing, or thing I think about the most, I was actually looking at the notes, and I was like, let me make sure I'm right now. I don't want to say something that ain't where we trying to go. And the last thing I wanted to go over was a functional challenge. So we're gonna have to move some stuff, and we're gonna make it real simple for the first couple people coming in, because again, I believe performance is the name of the game. So we're gonna give you something that should be really simple, but for most people is not. So can we move this table?
Yeah.
And let's have, you know what? We're gonna have both Devin and M do this challenge.
Uh-oh.
That's right. Can you succeed? I mean, we don't need to move the chairs, obviously.
Okay.
All right, can we see feet? No, we can't. All right, let's move back a little bit. So I'm gonna move this camera back.
Are we
We're
facing
gonna
off
expose
right
some
now?
more room.
I think we're working together. Let's work together.
All right, cool. So we're gonna have you not back to back. Stand forward for me, facing the front. Let's make it real simple. We'll start with the right knee up in front of you. Good. Standing on one leg. This right here is challenging for most people. So this actually I could stop here and call this a challenge.
Uh-oh.
Right? But that's not the GID way. So we're not gonna stop there.
I feel
As Devin's balancing using his hands, take your hands above your head, put your hands together.
Put your hands together.
Yeah.
Like
together.
a tree?
There you go. Good.
Bark like a dog.
In yoga, to the outside, this would be tree pose. Right? Now, maybe you can't see it on camera, but their feet are moving quite a bit. Or most people know it as oscillation. And yes, I'm still asking them to hold it. Now we're going to take the hands down towards the floor, and then we're going to lift the right leg backwards without putting the foot down. Oh, shoot. Right over the chair. M's back foot barely came up. Lift the back leg if you can, Em.
There you go.
Yes, straight. Right? And this is why it's called a functional challenge, because it takes you through the full range of the hip from standing to, let's say, touching the ground. Can you reverse it and go back towards the top?
Yeah.
Take my shoes
I
off.
was gonna say those hooks got you up on a platform.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Oh.
And this is actually why we train barefoot, ironically. But again, notice how Coach Devin can still do it with shoes on, because it's just another
Train for
platform.
this.
All right?
Right
Again, let's do it one more time for the people at home. All right? We're going to switch sides.
Woo!
Let's switch sides.
Oh, okay.
My foot.
All right?
Dang.
Hands
We
down
did it
to the
so
side.
close together.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
did.
believe we didn't slap each
Hands
other.
down.
All right.
Good. Left knee up. Good.
That's gonna
Let's
be.
take the hands above the head. Good. Now, as the hands come down, drive the leg backwards. Kick the leg back straight. Just try to move as one thing instead of using the legs or not together.
I touched it.
And then can you reverse and go back to the top without putting your foot down? You didn't make it.
Nope, I can't.
Cool. And relax. All right. It's a real good challenge. All right. Again, a lot of people are wondering why performance training in general, if you can't use your hips, then your quality of life drops significantly. So try this challenge at home. Tell us how you did. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, I'm Coach Linden.
I'm Devi.
Amy.
And of course, if you wanted to join our community, check us out at www.gettingitdaily.com or check us out on social media, Instagram or Facebook under the name Getting It Daily. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.